Hello there, this is David Holliday at Unique Day Events, and this is the first of a series of 3 tutorials on how I try to automate my workflow in Photoshop, particularly when it comes to making proofs. As a digital photographer, I may shoot up to 1,500 or even 2,000 images at a wedding, and I need to produce some proof quality images as quickly as I can. Obviously this can be a very painstaking job, so I've automated that to a large extent, and what I'm trying to do is to share some of that information with you here. Starting off here with an image open in Photoshop, and I have my Actions palette open. You can see I have highlighted an action called David 4x6 Proof. What I'm going to do is to run this action, and what it's going to do is to show you how I can quickly put an image into my basic proof layout. Nice thing with this is it works just as well in both portrait and landscape orientation, and it puts my logo and exactly the style I like on there. I haven't done anything at all to the image, I've just put my logo there and made it the right size. Let me go back to the beginning and let's look at how I actually put that together. What I'm doing here is basing this on one of Kevin Kuboto's actions, which in my action palette you'll see I have one called 4x6 with black borders and white keyline. If I run just that action on its own, you'll see that it's really close to what I'm looking to do. The only thing missing is my logo. So let me go back in time in my history palette, back to the beginning, and let's look at how I modify Kevin's action to add the Unique Day logo to all of the proofs. So the first thing I'm going to do is to go into the menu here and duplicate the action, because I don't want to mess up the original one that Kevin put together for us here. What I'm going to do, I don't like the name that comes up, and so I'm going to go back into the menu, into Action Options, and what I can do, I'm going to call this David Proof Test. I'm not going to do anything else to it at this point, so let's give it a name, and you can see here it is. But what I want to do is to run all of the steps from Kevin's action, but add my logo on the end. So I'm going to go down to the very end here and actually insert a stop. And I'm just going to call this Stop for a Moment. I actually will delete this step when the action is finished. So what I can do, if I go back to the beginning of the action and I press play, what's going to happen is it's now run the action up until my stop. I can click on here to remove that, and basically what I'm going to do is to now click on Start Recording, and so now I'm going to be recording new steps in my action. I'm starting off from this stop. Okay, the first thing I want to do is to find the image. What I do, I go into File and Place, and in here, just in my Pictures directory, I have my logo, which is the right size that I want to use on the proofs. And here it is. It appears on a new layer in my photograph. I'm going to click on the OK here to save that. Okay, the next step is that I always want, no matter whether this is a portrait or a landscape orientation, I always want to have my logo in the lower right hand corner. And to make sure that happens, what I'm going to do is select both of the layers here, go into the layer menu, and somewhere down here I will find a menu item called Align. First thing I want to do is to align the bottom edges. So now it's aligned at the bottom edge of my photograph. Go into there again, do exactly the same thing, but for the right edges. There it is, aligned right in the bottom right hand corner. I don't quite want it to be there because in that location, if the image is cropped or it's not printed properly or it's not quite right, it's going to hang over the edge. So what I'm going to do is to use the Move tool that I have selected here and just move my logo to where I'd like it to be. And I'm saying I'd like it to be around about there. So now I'm going to right click in my Layers palette, click on Flatten Image, and there we are. What I'm going to do at this point is go back to the Action palette, click on stop recording, and what I'm going to do now is go back to the beginning, go back in time, come into here to my, where are we? Let's just go to the top of my David proof test. Let me close all the steps here. It gets a little bit confusing after a while. Click on play, and you can see the deliberate mistake. I've left the stop in there. I need to press restart to get going after that. Okay, that's a good thing to happen because it shows the kind of things that can go wrong. What I'm going to do is to, well, first of all, remove the stop, and you just drag that down to the garbage can. The stop is now gone. Go back in history. Man, going back in time is a wonderful thing. Back into the actions palette, and let me go to the beginning of my action. Click on David Proof Test, and run the action, and this time it should run through without any gaps, and that's exactly what I want. What I'll do, and I'm not going to show you to do it here, but I will save that action, otherwise it will be lost if I don't do that. But that's what I do in my first step of my compound action, just to make my proof frame, if you like. In the next episode, we'll look at how I actually do a couple of processing actions in order to improve the quality of the image, and in the third tutorial, we'll look at how we can automate this process to be able to run off a complete folder of proofs with absolutely no effort at all. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you next time.